This is a Dark Illumination Report Extra with RJ Womack.
Hey everybody, this is RJ Womack, aka Brother Nero, and this is the Dark Illumination Report podcast, the podcast where we try to put the emphasis back on Satan and demons, and we try to give people advice to help them improve their lives. So today I'm going to be answering a question which is in line with what we've been talking about, which is making pacts with Satan. And I got a question from Wicked Witch, and she basically asked, why is it that other Satanists say Satan doesn't want us to make pacts with him? Luciferianism, theistic Satanism has been so influenced by atheistic Satanists. There's really no distinction between atheism and theism anymore. I mean, theistic Satanism is not Satanism anymore. It's just left-hand path occultism. It's humanistic occultism. It's atheism. And the reason I say that is because if you talk to the average Luciferian that calls themselves a Luciferian, if you talk to the average theistic Satanist, they talk like atheist, they think like atheist. Everything they say and everything they do is basically LaVeyan philosophy. Even if they hate LaVey, they follow his religion to the T, and they will never admit it, but basically everything they do is LaVeyan in style. The type of Satanism that I'm presenting here is a more devotional Satanism. In fact, I'm so irritated with how much theistic Satanism is influenced by atheism and how little it has to do with actual Satanism that I'm considering not using the term Satanism anymore and actually using another term and creating an entirely different tradition for my books from now on, because I think we've gotten so far away from Satanism and Satanism has become so corrupt. And part of the reason Satanism has been so corrupted and so poisoned by atheism and secular humanism is because when people get on the internet nowadays, all they see is this atheism. They don't know anything else. They very rarely know anything about Satanism beyond the last 20 or 30 years. They don't realize that Satanism was not always like this. And unfortunately for the young kids and the 20-somethings today, they don't really have enough time to develop their own understanding of Satanism. They don't really have enough time to get a sense of what Satan and the demons are all about, or even to hear Satan's voice, because what they do is they go online and they start listening to all these other idiots that know even less than them, who are calling themselves high priest or high priestess or whatever it is. And these people are their same age group, their same peer group. They don't know anything about Satanism. And they listen to these people instead of practicing rituals, instead of connecting with Satan and giving Satan an opportunity to communicate with them. They listen to a bunch of idiots who don't know the first thing about Satanism, who have been influenced by this atheistic Satanism. And the other thing is, so many people are so naive nowadays. It's incredible. All somebody has to do is be a fairly attractive woman, in particular, women in particular. If they're fairly attractive and they show a little tit, they show a little ass, then everybody treats them, like she's my high priestess, she's my goddess, we must worship her. And it just goes to show that these people aren't living a satanic lifestyle, because if you're truly living a satanic lifestyle, satanic morals are completely different from Christian morals. It is perfectly acceptable to have an open relationship. It's perfectly acceptable to go to have a BDSM lifestyle if you so choose. It's perfectly acceptable to go to a dominatrix if you want to worship women and pay homage to them and be humiliated by them. You don't have to go chase after the first woman that shows you a tit. And just by the fact that so many young men in particular seem to fall at the feet of the first attractive woman that happens to be somewhat satanic, just goes to show that they're not living the lifestyle. Because if you were living the lifestyle, you just go and get your needs fulfilled. You wouldn't fall like a bunch of puppies at the sight of the first naked woman you see. These people act like they've never seen a nude woman. They've never been involved with a woman. They've never even had sex before. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. So that's part of it. I mean, you're dealing with people that don't have any firsthand experience with actual practical Satanism. They go around theorizing on their Facebook groups. They go around and start Facebook groups. They've never led an actual offline coven. They've never been to any of these rituals that they talk about. They've never officiated over a black mass. They've never been to a black Sabbath. They've never ran a black Sabbath or a black mass. They've never counseled anybody in person about Satanism. They've never helped anybody run a group, which I have done. And my experience, because I'm older, because I am old enough to be some of their fathers and even some of their grandfathers, our philosophy of Satanism comes from a different time period before the influence of this atheistic Satanism became so strong. Okay. Now, atheistic Satanism has been around for a long time. It's been around since the 60s, but it wasn't the force that it is nowadays because the Church of Satan and the Satanic Temple have gone out of their way to use the internet to promote the idea that religious Satanists are crazy or foolish or whatever. But back in my day, I know some of you are saying, okay, boomer, I get it. And I'm not a boomer, by the way, but I'm close. I'm about 10 years away from being a boomer. So you can't really use that on me because I'm a little bit too young to be a boomer. But anyway, but the point being is that back when I got into Satanism in the 80s, the Church of Satan was seen as a bunch of people pretending to be Satanists. The media took them seriously, but nobody else did. Satanism back then was still considered the worship of Satan. And if you didn't worship Satan, you were considered a joke. So if you came around carrying a card from the Church of Satan, you would have been laughed at. And the first thing you would have been told is, I thought you were a real Satanist. I thought you believed in Satan. What are you doing carrying around that piece of cardboard, that fake piece of construction paper for? You're not welcome here. And they would have called them, rightly so, the cosplay Satanists that they are. And if the Satanic Temple would have been around then, they would have called them cosplay Satanists and they would have laughed at them just like they should now. So, but anyway, getting back to the point, that's why the Luciferians and the other so-called theistic Satanists say that Satan doesn't want us to worship him. Satan doesn't want us to make pacts with him because they're not fucking Satanist. They're not. They can call themselves whatever they want, but they're not. Because real Satanists worship Satan. They pray to Satan. They make pacts with Satan. They always have. They always will. And despite all of the popularity of all this atheism, real Satanists are still practicing out there. Real Satanists still make pacts with Satan every day. We're still out there. The media doesn't pay any attention to us. They act like we don't exist. And they give all the attention to the Lucian Greaves and the Peter Gilmores, and they ignore people like me and Marie Ravensole and other people like us. But we're out there. And this podcast is proof of that. And that's one of the reasons why I've been doing this podcast more often and trying to do it more frequently, because people need to know that there are people like us out there who actually believe in this religion, who actually promote it because we actually believe in it and because we actually respect Satan and his kingdom. The thing that you have to remember, and this is the last thing I'm going to bring up for this podcast, is don't judge people by whatever label they put on themselves. Judge people by what they do. I don't care if somebody calls themselves a Luciferian. I don't care if they call themselves a traditional Satanist. I don't care if they call themselves a theistic Satanist. If they talk like an atheist, if they act like an atheist, if they don't pray to Satan and they don't respect Satan and they don't show Satan respect and they don't ask the spirits for guidance and you don't see them doing divination before they make a decision or prayer, then I don't care what they call themselves. They're not a Satanist. Ignore them. Look at what people do and look at how they live, not what they say. Judge people based on their actions, not their words. Because there are a lot of frauds out there. There are a lot of people that all this is about money, about image, about power to manipulate others. It is not about Satanism. Always look at people's actions more than you ever pay attention to their words. Anyway, that's it for today, guys. May Satan be with you. Take care. See you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Dark Illumination Report podcast. For the latest news headlines, show information, and more, go to rjwomack.com. That's rjwomack.com.